What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. We are live on a Wednesday morning. Philly with John Marks, as always, presented by BetParx. Get on over to the BetParx app. And if you did that yesterday and you bet on your fighting Phils, man, you went through a large range of emotions in last night's game. It really was a wild win. I'll take them. It was an exciting win. I mean, honestly, sending Bohm from third base, I was really glad that they did, because I don't feel like that they would have gotten that run home if they didn't. And then Bryson Stott, we'll see what's going on with his finger, but him able to score from a wild pitch that didn't get that far away from the catcher was the difference in the game. So a lot of twists and turns. It looked like the Phillies going to have an easy one, 5-2, and then they made things very interesting. Poor defense. Trey Turner gets 4 hits, but yet I'm pissed today because I can't handle how poorly he plays defense sometimes. But ultimately, they get a win. The 3 games over 500. Zach Wheeler was good. Didn't get out of the 7th inning. Ends up giving up a run there in the 7th inning. But Phillies get the win. I mean, like and we're going to talk to Pat Egan about all this. He's coming up in Block B of the program about 25 minutes from right now. If you're watching live or you're watching later on YouTube, I'm not going to sit here and be super duper negative. I'm not going to be Seth Joyner after the Eagles win a game and complain they're not running the ball enough. But like, that's not a game that should be needed to win in the fashion they needed to win. I get it. They got the win, and I'll take the win every time. But I am going to bitch a little bit this morning. Trey Turner went 4 for 4, right, out of the leadoff spot. Look good offensively last night. He made 2 boneheaded blunders in the 8th and the 9th inning that almost cost them the game and could have cost them the game. Alvarado's in there in the 8th inning. Runnels are on 1st and 3rd. It's a tricky spot because there's no outs. You're up by 1 run. Do you take the easy double play, which it would have been because the ball was hit right to him? It was hit hard. All he has to do is step on second base, throw it to first. It's a double play. The game's tied, but there's nobody left on the bases. All right. Or what do you do? Right. So I think his instinct was the right one, which was the step on second base and then take a look at the runner. The reality was Chase Utley, if he was on that playing that play, Chase Utley would have stepped on second base, pump fake going home to get the runner back to third. Still enough time to throw out to first base for a double play. That literally couldn't have been a worse hit. Something that was on the ground for the Nationals. It couldn't have been worse. What happened? Hit very, very sharply right to the shortstop, who's more or less standing at second base. Meanwhile, he doesn't step on second base because he can't find it. He freaks out, and then he throws it away. So there's no outs. So now they have the bases loaded, and Alvarado goes into full Alvarado mode. Man, I'm telling you, if you're listening to a top 5 lister right now of most exciting players in Philadelphia, Jose Alvarado's got to be towards the top of that list. Man, is he exciting to watch. And he'll dig himself in a little bit of a hole, and that was a big hole last night. But, geez, then he just says, all right, I'm just going to strike everybody out. That was a hell of an 8th inning. But then in the 9th inning, and for the most part, I'm positive when it comes to Johan Rojas. His bat's better than people give him credit for. I think he's actually been very productive out of the 9 hole. Just look at the numbers. But he's had some big hits recently as well. He's had some big hits. Did last night. But misplaying that ball, I mean, that's how you lose games. And the Phillies were cruising. Kerkering's got to come in the 9th inning. More on Kerkering coming up in a second. But like just cruising, and man, a couple of bad defensive plays. And then Trey Turner air mails it over Bryce Harper's head. It's because he was thinking about the freaking throw. Look at it. Look at the throw. He thinks about it. Instead of a nice fluid throw, I've made this throw 1,000 times. Boom, right into the mitt. Nope, because he's in his head right now. And he was yesterday in that 9th inning. I don't know how much longer you can keep him at shortstop. I really, really don't. He drives me nuts. Trey Turner drives me nuts. Could have cost them the game. It didn't, thankfully. They came back in the 9th inning, and the bottom of the 9th, and they were able to get a win. Orion Kerkering, And I've actually been DM'd where someone wanted to fight me. This was last year over Kerkering. I like Kerkering. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he costs a lot of money or anything like that. He was drafted by the Phillies. So I like Kerkering. I don't need to see him in high leverage situations. When he came out for the 9th inning yesterday, even with a 5-2 lead, I kind of had to do one of these. Like, all right, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. He was not helped out by his fielding. I totally understand that. But to shake off JT and to throw a ball that's in the wheelhouse of a left-handed hitter, and the only thing you can't do right there is give up a home run. He more or less put it on a tee. That was a Willie Stargell, Dave Parker. Here you go. Low and inside. Bam! The hell is he doing? Oh, my God. Keep him in the 7th inning, Kerkering. The problem is the bullpen's light, and they don't have an arm to go to there. You wanted to see Romano come in there? Maybe. The Phillies got the win. I'm done bitching for today. Until Pat Egan comes on. This portion of the program brought to you by Glad Hair Restoration. GladHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. You can actually text them. Text Glad Hair right now, 610-980-4000. And tell them John Mark sent you, as they like to say. Tyler Zulli, PHLY Phillies, producer of Philly with John Marks. He was doing a post-game last night, doing his post-game video. Tyler, your thoughts on the 8th and 9th inning? Listen, it was exciting. Don't get me wrong. I was watching it this morning with my kids, but not exactly a clean baseball game from either team.
No, and it was funny because I went to record the post-game wrap-up, and I hit record and just started laughing because it was like such an unserious not 8th, bottom of the 9th, and not top and bottom of the 9th last night. And it's funny too, because you bring up Orion Kerkering, and there's a million different things to talk about. And I think with Kerkering last night, I fault him to an extent. It was a bad pitch he threw to Nathaniel Lowe. But I also think that it's really hard to bounce back from ball hit at Johan Rojas, probably should be caught. You know, if it's, I understand the ball hit right at you, and the outfield is the toughest ball to judge. The one that's hit like directly over your head, probably should be caught. Following play, Trey Turner airmails a throw. Bryce Harper does his best like acrobatics to try to even get it. They had to review it because it ended up being close.
That one angle, it looked like he might have had him.
But it was poor defense. And I'm not going to excuse Kerkering entirely, but it was poor defense in that inning that led to him having to face extra hitters. And then he gives up the home run. That pitch is on him because Lowe just kind of golfed it out, like you said. It was just a weird game, and honestly, we can call it for what it is too. Like Alec Bohm should have been thrown out at the plate by 3 or 4 steps. It was an excellent throw by Dylan Cruz on the sac fly by Johan Rojas. I don't know what Keibert Ruiz was doing. He just straight up didn't catch the ball. But listen, they won the game, and so you can kind of almost say all of this was crap. It was a weird baseball game. There's a lot to clean up, and they won the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because if they lose that game last night, man.
Oh, we'd be furious.
Yeah, you think I'm pissed after a win. What do you see me after last night?
And that was the funny thing was I was almost thinking about planning for this show and then planning for the Phillies and being like, do I do the they won but I'm mad thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't know who that serves. I don't know if that's self-serving or not, but I felt that way. And I guess the alternative is you're right. They lose that game 6-5 and I'm throwing my laptop out off the balcony.
Yeah, thank God they did. Schwartz had a home run last night, an early one, gave him a lead. We mentioned Rojas. He had a home run last night. It was his first home run since his first home run last year was July, I think they said on the broadcast, or I saw somewhere. So, listen, Rojas is hitting 288. You look at the Phillies averages on their team. Stott's batting 292. Turner's batting 290. Bryce Harper with his bunt hit all the way up to 231. But he hit the ball hard last night. He did. Outside of the bunt, he smoked the ball a couple times. He's just hitting them the guys right now.
Yeah, and it's funny too with Rojas. I texted a buddy last night, and I was like, I feel like Johan Rojas has gotten to the point where he does something so ridiculous in a game where you go, that was such a boneheaded play. And then at the end of the night, you look up at the box score and he's on base twice. He scored a run. He stole a bag. And
he went through a stop sign at third base and he scored.
Right, blew right
through. Was awesome.
And you know, it's funny too with Dusty Wathan. We have criticized Wathan about being too cautious at times and not sending enough runners. And the one guy that he sends was Alec Bohm, and I'm like, he's cooked. He was so cooked on that. But you know, I think he had a little bit to it where he was like, all right, I've been caught being a little bit too cautionary. Let me send this guy. But with Rojas, it's weird because he makes some really boneheaded plays. And then, like you said, he's hitting 280. My thing with him is if he can hit 250 and cause a little havoc on the base pass as your 9-hole hitter, as long as he's not getting blown away by fastballs consistently, that's all I'm asking for.
Defense has got to be better. Like if that defensive play doesn't happen last night, we're coming in here and saying like, hey, like everybody's got to get off of Rojas's back. Like he's really good. Those defensive plays have happened too much. Since his rookie year where he was excellent, he's regressed. And like you had said, and I mean, I didn't play outfield at a high level, obviously, but like I played 90, I played a couple years in 90 foot bases, and I moved to the outfield, and it got him. He took a step in. It was hit right at him. He took a step in. You can't recover on a shot like that. So
yeah, there's a reason that first step is the most critical one. And whether it's your drop step or it's your instep, once you make the decision, you almost have to go with it, because if you try to turn and pivot either way, you're not making that ground up. Even with the speed of Johan Rojas, you're not making that ground up. You know, it's why we've seen really, really excellent athletes and really good, you know, really fast defensive outfielders, you know, maybe struggle a little bit when they first come up because of how balls are hit off the bat. You see tailing balls, right? A righty hits a ball and it tails. A lefty hits a ball and it fades away from your glove. But I do think with Johan Rojas defensively, there is, I don't want to say this is the direct reason, but I think that there is a game that you can go back to last year that he crashed into the wall in center field. And I think it affected him a little bit. I'm not going to say the ones that are hit in the gap or over his head, but I think things that are hit towards the wall now, I don't want to call him gun shy. That's not fair. But I think that it did impact him a little bit.
Interesting. All right. Egan's going to join us coming up about 10 minutes or so from now. We'll talk more Phillies. I had to get to this because I have so many things I want to talk about today. I'm watching the NBA playoffs, and I like, for somebody that's been very apathetic about the Sixers this year, I'm watching Detroit win last night, beat the Knicks last night, and I get angry because I'm watching that game, some pretty good playoff games last night. I'm watching that game, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no freaking way that the Sixers win that game if they're in that situation in New York, back against the wall, elimination game. And they came back. I mean, if you look at the final score, it really wasn't as close as the final score was. Detroit had a really good fourth quarter until the very end where there's a couple threes and made it a lot closer than it actually was. The 76ers never win that game. No. Right. And I look at their team. They were one of the worst teams, or the worst team in the NBA last year. And just like that, new head coach, young players, they're playing with an edge. They're playing hard. And I look at the Sixers, you have a bunch of old rich guys on this team. Oh my God. So I find myself last night just like seething, watching the Pistons, watching Tobias Harris have meaningful minutes and making meaningful plays for the Pistons team. And I'm like, you know what, Toby? I mean, you suck. You sucked here. But you weren't the actual problem. The problem are the other guys. The problem is Joel Embiid in these games. The problem is this organization. All right. So I had to get that off my chest. I have to do this. And I'm still buddies with all of my old WIP people, of course. But I couldn't help but chuckle yesterday and kind of have some flashbacks to what I saw. So, Tyler, do you have the graphic that you can pop up here? And like it's the off season, it's after the draft. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl, obviously. And if you've watched the show, I say it all the time. You have to fill 4 hours every day. 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 48 with vacations, 48 weeks a year, right? And one of the things that I grew very tired of is having to come up with takes and come up with opinions that I don't believe. And I'm only saying because when you take phone calls as the basis of a lot of shows, then you need to create one side, other side, and then then you take phone calls and you fight and you have a good debate. And then you can do the rest of your show. It doesn't have to be all that, but there's like a jumping off you need to do. So I saw yesterday, a lot of people retweeted it. Crossing Broad did a post on it or whatever, but it was more or less, does Jalen Hurts have to prove it again this year? Does Jalen Hurts, who has been to 2 of 3 Super Bowls, or is this a prove it year to Jalen Hurts? I have to actually look and see exactly what it is. Is this a prove it year for Jalen Hurts? ESP says no way. So Elliot comes on Tuesdays and for an hour. So I guess this was what they were going to talk about with ESP because he says no way. Go figure. Is this a prove it year for Jalen Hurts? Well, I mean, every year's a prove it year. Obviously, for Jalen Hurts, every year is going to be a prove it year when it comes to WIP. But is this year a prove it year for Jalen Hurts, who's been to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls? If it wasn't for a Fugazi defensive holding penalty, I think they win that Super Bowl and he wins the Super Bowl MVP. He won the Super Bowl MVP, 10 weeks ago, however many weeks ago it was now. And we're asking the question, is this a prove it year for Jalen Hurts? I just I'm laughing with the guys, not at the guys. Because like I said, there's a reason why there was kind of this weight that was lifted off of my chest that I didn't have to be the guy that comes out and says something like that, which is this a prove it year? And here's the other thing. A lot of times I've learned in the business that when you put a Twitter question out, that it can be taken out of context and it's not really what you're saying. And if you're not listening to the show, you get a lot of wise guys that are ripping you and saying, oh, you're at it again, right? And it's like, no, that's not really what we're talking about. Or there can be like a sarcastic tweet, tongue in cheek, and you forget to put the sarcastic font on your tweet. Just what I read in the comments, that wasn't the case, that there was actually an argument being made that the Eagles have regressed this offseason. I think Spike was saying the Eagles have regressed this offseason. They're not favorites to win the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'll just disagree with Spike in saying that the Eagles have not regressed this offseason. Just because they lost Milton Williams and Josh Sweat doesn't mean that there's not capable players that are ready to step in, which I believe they have. And there's other younger players that are ready to take the next step. So is losing Milton Williams, if you just look at a pure equation and say, okay, well, you can't possibly be as good without Milton Williams. Well, sure you can. You don't play these games on paper. If you lost Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, okay, now we're talking about a regression. Oh, do we really believe losing Josh Sweat and Milton Williams has turned this team into, oh, man, I don't think they're a favorite to win the Super Bowl? It's really, really hard to win back-to-back in the NFL. The Chiefs did it, and it doesn't happen very often. It is very difficult. That's the biggest climb hill that the Eagles are going to have to climb. It's hard to win 2 years in a row. That's just a fact. Not losing Milton Williams or Josh Sweat. No. They added in the draft. They have other guys who are going to step up. Will they end up missing them? Yeah, but they're not losing players that you're saying like, oh my God, how the hell are the Eagles going to overcome that? So it's tough to do this every day without having somebody or something that plays the other side. Look at First Take, look at whatever nonsense shows that Chase Daniel's on or whatever those other shows. That's the template. It's the World Wrestling Federation. That's what you need to do. It's scripted. No, people don't actually believe that, or they've made themselves believe it. But someone needs to be the guy that plays the other side. For a long time, I was the guy. I had to be the idiot to play the other side, right? And it's like, it's what you had to do. It's what I had to do. I don't want to do it anymore. So you can do it. Hi, Tyler.
I think you bring up some of the guys they've lost, right? Milton Williams, Josh Sweat. They've traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And
CJ it could be potentially a big loss.
Yeah, because I think, obviously they drafted Andrew Makuba in the second round with the expectation that he's going to compete for a starting job. But the likelihood is it's going to either be him or Sidney Brown. And, I don't think that either of them at this current moment are on CJGJ's level. He's just a better player at this portion of his career than those two guys are. Now, Makuba could be great. They've done a nice job of drafting defensive backs in the last couple of drafts in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Like, Makuba could be an excellent addition and play alongside Reed Blankenship. That's a big loss to me. But, they've lost Milton Williams. They've done a decent job at replacing him, at least from the draft standpoint. I think they really like Ty Robinson. They lose Josh Sweat, which was expected, and they add a bunch of edge rushers, Azeez Ojulari, Josh Uche, and pick up Jahad Campbell in the first round, who, I think is, as Fran said, is probably going to start as an off-ball linebacker, but we'll see. Probably going to play a hybrid role. Mekhi Becton leaves, didn't get as much money as we thought he was going to, but they bring in Kenyon Green, and they still have Tyler Steen, and they drafted a bunch of guys that could potentially compete. To me, the one loss that I think would be the most effective to this team, and it hasn't happened yet, and I think at this point it may not happen, would have been Dallas Goedert. If they lose Dallas Goedert, whether they would have traded him or whatever the case may be, I think that they did not have the replacement in hand or in house, I should say, and I think it was the one position in the draft where the Eagles got beat. The Eagles don't often get beat to positions or beat to players. I think the board and other teams beat the Eagles in the tight end draft class this year because every time they went to, there was a thought of like, okay, this could be the spot. Somebody was picked a couple, 5-8 picks ahead of them with Elijah Arroyo. And they could have taken Harold Fannin with the 64th pick. And I think he goes, 66 or 67?
Yeah, they weren't, I don't even know if they were targeting a guy.
Right.
I don't.
And so either it felt like they either got beat, which maybe they did, or you're right. Maybe they just didn't have any interest in a lot of these mid-round guys. And that tells you that Dallas Goedert's going to be back. So to me, he would have been the loss that would have been impactful the most because of his impact on the offense when he does play. It seems to me he's going to be back at least for right now. I mean, listen, they lost some productive members of a Super Bowl winning team, but they're still really, really good. And I expect them to be really good at most positions that they've lost players in.
All right, so real fast because we're running late. Milton Williams, right? Does Nolan Smith take the next step this year? And he's an even better player than he was last year. That's normally how it works, right? Like year 2, he emerged. Year 3 is he turned into a star. How many solo tackles do you think Milton Williams had last year? And I like Milton Williams a lot. I know you were a big fan going into the season. How many solo tackles?
Solo, probably like 35.
11.
Really?
How many assisted tackles did he have last year?
I would hope more than that.
13. So
really
total tackles, assisted tackles, and solo tackles, 24 tackles for Milton Williams. How do you replace 24 tackles? Oh, my God.
Well, I
what
think
are they going to do?
I think in his case, it's more about space filling. And, he became a 3-down defensive. You know what I mean? Like,
coming off of playing with Jalen Carter, how many sacks did the irreplaceable Milton Williams have? Oh, my God, the Eagles aren't going to win the Super Bowl. How many sacks did he have in the regular season?
2.
5, which is actually pretty good for.
I underplayed after the last 2 numbers. 5 sounds more fair.
My point is, Milton Williams is a good player. Milton Williams stepped in for Javon Hargrave, who was better than Milton Williams at getting to the quarterback. So. We'll see.
At least in terms of pass rush, Javon Hargrave here's Milton Williams all day.
Yes.
I think Milton Williams became a much better run defender as his career went on.
Absolutely. Milton Williams is a good player. I like Milton Williams a lot. All right, coming back, Pat Egan, or Pegan as I like to call him. His thoughts on the Phillies. That's ahead. Philly with John Marks. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, damn it. All right, let's talk about Glad Hair Restoration for a second. I had somebody direct message me yesterday. Yes, my DMs are open, everybody. Slide into my DMs, but only for professional purposes only. Let me say that. Glad Hair Restoration, the experts at hair, right? So you may say oh, well, yeah, Johnny Marks showed hair restoration, but that's not what it's all about. If you're on social media and you're in this algorithm of these shampoos that it's oh, stop hair loss. Look at this guy's hair. It's great. And you use the shampoo. You can feel it tingling. That's crap. Don't buy it. Glad Hair Restoration is where it's at. So I say slide into my DMs. If you have any questions, and you hear me talking about it, if you have any questions, So when I had the hair restoration procedure done, and I've had some of the other things we're talking about, which is the maintenance level of it. I've documented it. So I have pictures, I have videos, I have before pictures. I have what it looked like after I had the procedure, a week after the procedure. I have videos of what, like everything. It's a really, really good resource. I'm glad I did it because I've sent it out to a lot of people. So just slide in my DMs, JONMARKS media at John Marks Media, or it's johnmarksmedia@gmail.com. Email me and email me for any reason. Don't get me, but I'm saying in particular, if you want more information and you're not ready to call Glatt Hair Restoration, check out their website, glatthairmm.com. It's a really good resource. Before and after pictures, a lot of their procedures, a lot of things explained, so you get a better understanding of everything that they have to offer, because it's not just about restoration, it's about innovation. Vitamin supplementation is very popular these days among women as well. It can really stop the growth, and you'll notice within a couple of weeks or a couple of months, you'll be like, wow, like I can see the hair growing back in. If you'd like to text or call them, 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000. Text or call them, or glatthairmm.com. Ooh-ah. All right, let's talk about Ashley. The low prices are blooming, so spring into savings at Ashley. You can save up to 50% off living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms, and have it delivered all for free. And how about this? This is the only way I do it because I have no money. Long-term, no-interest financing. So you can literally get everything you need. Maybe you're moving into a new house. Maybe you're moving out for the first time, going to an apartment, and you're like, you know what? I need everything. Get it at a great price from Ashley, and you're talking about long-term financing. Do the math. Hey, it's what I did with a couple different things. Like, all right, this is how much money I financed. The term is however many years. I need to pay this much money every month to avoid any finance charges. Do it. It's a great way to get everything you need. You're saving on top brand mattresses. You're getting free delivery, setup, and removal, but don't wait. Spring into savings now at Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia. Right now, financing with approved credit. Minimum purchase is required. Some exclusions may apply. See store for complete details. Hurry to Ashley. Visit ashleyfurniture.com for more information. Hoo-ah! We are back. Philly with John Marks. Phil's win last night. To discuss is our buddy, Pat Egan. Egan, good morning. How are you? Hello, Pat. Are we there? No Pat? No Pat. We froze there for a second. All right. Well, there you go. Yeah,
I'm good.
Well, I am. I'm still. Well, I'm not worked up still over the Phillies game last night, but it was quite an eventful 8th and 9th inning.
It was.
So after the game, I know watching post game, Ben Davis was, a win is a win, and blah 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 blah, and yeah, believe me, the Phillies need every win they can get right now. But I mean, they beat an inferior team at home. They almost blew the game, but it's just not how they blew the game. Trey Turner's defense on a couple of different plays. You had Johan Rojas, who at one point I thought was like, hey, he doesn't even need to get a hit. He's so good defensively. He misplayed a ball to center field, which almost cost them. So it was good that they got a win. There was really, really, I mean, I don't even want to say good base running. I'll just say they were fortunate. And I was glad they were being aggressive on the bases, but that was a game they almost blew last night, and that's never a game they should have lost. So happy for the win, but also I'm so sick of Trey Turner defensively at this point, man. I just can't take it anymore. So a frustrating win last night, Pat.
Yeah, no, it was. I was it's funny because the two guys I felt like that showed up the most offensively for them had to, because they almost cost the team the game, and that's Rojas. I thought he misplayed the triple by CJ Abrams, and then late in the game, I don't know what the hell he was doing in center. And I've always been a Johan Rojas defender, and one of the reasons why is his defense, but he looked horrible. And then Trey Turner, same thing. He goes 4 for 4, scores 2 runs, ended up getting an RBI, but it's kind of forgotten about because of the fact that since he's come to Philly, his defense has been a problem. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not all that upset, because when they ended up blowing the game in the 9th, I fully expected them to lose the game, and they didn't. So I guess in a way I was pleasantly surprised that they ended up coming back and winning it, and not so much upset about all the things that you did mention, which are accurate. Like, they beat an inferior opponent. They beat them at home. Like, you're supposed to do those things. But at this point, when they end up going to the bullpen, if it's not Strom or Alvarado, I'm just expecting runs at this point. It doesn't matter how they happen. I'm just expecting it. When they blew the game, I figured it would be a loss, and they ended up pulling it out. So I'm okay, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was just annoyed watching, and as much as the standing ovation with Trey Turner that I was a part of and everything else, and like I thought that was a genuine moment and was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, how long till he plays second base? Like, a lot of people was going to point to the bad throw, which is inexcusable. You can't do that in that situation. It almost cost the team. But in the 8th inning, he gets a sharp ground ball. He's almost standing on second base. He can't find the base to get a force out. Runners on first and third. He can't find the base to get a force out, and then he throws home. So the Phillies are up by a run. Kruk talked about it on the broadcast. He'd rather get the double play, have the game tied, you're at home, and then have nobody on base. Now, it ended up working out because Alvarado, man, he is a ride right now. He is unbelievable. He loads the bases, and then he just says, nah, I'm going to strike out the side.
Yeah, he's letting him drag.
So they got out of the inning. I don't want to be negative because they did get the win, but like, they found a way to win the game.
It's a win that feels like a loss.
No, I mean, I don't. It doesn't feel like a loss. It's just like when you're up, the Nationals aren't a terrible team. They're not the Rockies, right? But when you have a 5-2 lead, what was it in the 8th inning?
I think it was 5-2.
Yeah, it was 5-2. When you have a 5-2 lead and you get out of a base-loaded jam and you go to the 9th inning with a 3-run lead, and I'm not like, I like Kerkering. I don't want him in high leverage situations, and he got screwed by his defense for sure. But like, you can't put yourself in a position to lose that game. And right now, the Phillies, I mean, I just don't have the confidence that they're a very good team right now. But they got to win.
I think they're a good team. I think the problem is, and this is one of the few gripes I have about Rob Thompson. You know, the Phillies are linked to Ryan Presley from the Cardinals. And Ryan Presley was probably the best closer last year in all of baseball.
Right. And
my first thought was, well, he's going to come to Philly, and he's not going to be the closer. He'll be the closer on Tuesday, and then Wednesday he'll be the setup man, and then Thursday he'll be off, and then Friday he'll be the setup man, and then Saturday he'll be. Rob Thompson has never once given strict, you are the closer. Matchups be damned. And Alvarado, as you said, is their best reliever by far right now. And the fact that I had to watch Ryan Kerkering in the 9th inning, like, you like him? I don't. I think Ryan Kerkering sucks right now. And the fact that you're watching anybody but Alvarado in the 9th inning is a joke. And Rob Thompson continues to do this matchup BS of like, oh, no, the righties and the lefties. Let's throw Jordan Romano out there. Let's not. His ERA is 12. You know, let's not throw Ryan Kerkering out there. His ERA is 5.5. Like, if you look at the AAA bullpen right now for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, it's the exact opposite of the Phillies. Give me any of those guys over some of the guys that I'm watching right now, because it is dreadful. And they need to actually have set roles. I don't need to see Alvarado in the 8th. I need to see him in the 9th. Like, period, point blank.
I mean, like, when I say I like Kerkering, I'm kind of like, not that I'm saying it tongue in cheek, but I mean, you look at his numbers, and I know they're inflated now because he's given up some runs recently, but like he'll have like a 2 ERA, and I don't feel like that he's really had an impact on the team because he's not coming in the 8th inning of a 2-1 game. Yeah. Right. Like, high leverage situations, I still don't trust him.
Totally. Neither do I.
Yeah. Like, I'm honestly, Pat, like, I love Alvarado. He is one of the better relievers in baseball when he's on, and right now he's on. I don't know if I'm making him the closer right now. The bigger problem, like, I don't mind matchups if you don't have he's the guy, right? Like, when Estevez came in last year and it didn't end up working out, but at least he was a bona fide closer that had experience. I don't know if I want Alvarado. I don't know what he looks like if he's your 9th inning guy every time. I don't know if I like that.
I think what you see from Alvarado is exactly what you want from a 9th inning guy. You know what I mean? Like, just a guy that'll load the bases and just let him drag and get everybody out and get fired up. Like, he, to me, is like him and Hoffman last year. I thought make one of those guys the closer, and they found a way to mess everything up because no one had set roles, including Carlos Estevez. So I agree. Like, I think Ryan Kerkering does fine if, it's the 6th inning and you're up by 4. But when the lights are on in the biggest moments, he kind of flounders. Everybody else in that bullpen is dreadful, that you don't want to see. So right now he is their best option, and I'd rather give him that role than see what happens. Because he's either going to pitch the 8th or the 9th, but I'd rather have him pitching the 9th than the 8th inning.
Well, I mean, I'd rather have him pitching than Kerkering in the 9th. To your point, the problem is they're 2 relievers down in the bullpen. I mean, you're a closer or a right-handed complement to Alvarado, and then you need another 8th inning guy. And Dombrowski will go out at the trade deadline and get somebody. It's just he hasn't improved the team at trade deadlines. I mean, really, really hasn't. So it's hard to say. Like, normally you would say, all right, they still have time to figure it out. Like, the bullpen's a work in progress. They'll get somebody at the trade deadline. They'll be okay. I can't say that because as much as I trust Dave Dombrowski with a lot of stuff, Pat, I don't trust him at the trade deadline to make this team any better.
No,
so,
he's basically done the same thing the past 3 years. He goes out and he gets kind of mid-level, mediocre guys that you'll convince yourself are going to be like the missing piece, whether it be a Noah Syndergaard or an Austin Hayes. He's a former All-Star and all that, and they don't end up making an impact at all. He traded for Ian Kennedy the one year when he was Texas's closer. Ian Kennedy comes in. He doesn't look good. Carlos Estevez last year, as you said. Carlos Estevez was great when, guys were on base that he put on there. But if he inherited runners, they were coming home.
Yeah.
I don't want to see another, Lorenzen. I don't want to see another Syndergaard at the deadline, which I don't think I will. I will remind people out there, though, that like this team got Jeff Hoffman 2 years ago in like June. They finally called him up from AAA at the behest of Bryce Harper. So I do think that there might be an internal candidate there somewhere. I don't know who that guy is, though, and they'd have to probably figure that out before long, because you can't keep going with a bullpen of Joe Ross and Kerkering, as we said, looks bad. Hernandez looks terrible. Like, you name it, it's a 2-man bullpen.
He was the Jeff Hoffman. They were hoping he's Jeff Hoffman because they picked Jeff Hoffman off of waivers and they get him in their program and boom, the light goes off in the head. Look at, he's killing it up in Toronto. Hernandez doesn't look like he's going to be the next Jeff Hoffman. He sucks.
No, he's terrible. He's terrible. And that's the thing. When you look at the bullpen and it's like, after Alvarado and Strahm, your best ERA is, 5. Like, that's 2020 level bad. And that was the worst bullpen we've ever seen.
All right. So they get to win. The question now is, what do they do with the rotation? And this is something that Tyler and I have talked about for a couple of weeks now. So Chris Sanchez is going to start. So he's going to start today. Taijuan Walker starts tomorrow. And then Ranger Suarez is going to throw a bullpen session, but his next start is to be determined. Is there any chance in your mind that Ranger Suarez does not go back to the starting rotation and they use him and leverage him in the bullpen?
I don't think there's a chance that he goes in the bullpen, but I do find it interesting that, like, I feel like they're taking their time bringing him back. And I feel like one of the reasons why is they might be building up Taijuan Walker to see if they can get anything for him, but also to build up his confidence. Like, they've been handling Taijuan Walker with kid gloves in the rotation this year, which understandably so. Like, they don't want to have him go 5 innings and then implode. So they've been pulling him pretty early, and that's, I think, why he has good numbers. But I don't think so. Like, I think Ranger Suarez is going to be in the rotation, and then I think Taijuan Walker ends up being that kind of long man-ish. And maybe Taijuan Walker can be like a Jeff Hoffman. I mean, maybe he can be the one-inning guy. I'm just spitballing here. I'll take him over Joe Ross at this point. You take Taijuan Walker out of the bullpen. You want to take Taijuan Walker over Joe Ross?
No, Taijuan Walker will come out of the bullpen throwing meatballs. No, to me, Taijuan Walker is a starting pitcher, and that's it. He cannot be used in any type of, like, he's not a 7th inning guy for, I don't know what you got against Joe Ross. I like Joe Ross. He's got good stuff.
Sucks. Joe Ross is terrible. Stop. This is the thing. We're trying to convince ourselves that Joe Ross is good. This is how far it's gone.
Joe Ross has looked good this year. I like Joe Ross.
Joe Ross has been terrible, John.
I like his stuff, Joe Ross.
You don't like his stuff. You're trying to convince yourself you like his stuff.
I am not. I don't convince myself or anything. I've been pleasantly surprised with Joe Ross.
Look at you. You're all Joe Ross up. I see it. Under that jacket, you have a Joe Ross jersey.
By the way, I don't think that they're going to put Ranger in the bullpen. But to your point, they're slow playing it a little bit. they're not acting with desperation. It looks like he's ready to come back. He looked good at AAA. He threw 5 innings at AAA.
I don't know what they're waiting for.
So that's why I'm not stopping this until he's actually put back in the rotation, because something's got to give. And it's a great point that you bring up. And maybe this does mean they're trying to move Taijuan Walker. They've had a really quick hook with him. And I mean, what did he go 2 innings in his last start?
Yeah.
Right. Which is weird. Like
first sign of danger.
Yeah. And they've done that in a couple starts. He hasn't even made it 5 innings to get the win. So it is interesting how they're handling him. Andrew Painter also scheduled to start in AAA on Thursday, Pat. We should head up there to see an Andrew Painter game as we did with Aaron Noah.
He's not. That was initially reported, but he's back in Clearwater. He's not going to be starting in Lehigh Valley.
So he's in Clearwater.
Yeah, Todd Zalecki reported he'll be back in Clearwater, which is where he's been starting his rehab.
Well, then he should delete the freaking tweet that says Andrew Painter scheduled to start Thursday with AAA, because that's what I was reading and so he put the clarification. Then you got to delete the original tweet. I saw it earlier.
I don't disagree with you, John. I mean, it's just missing. And this is what we're talking about with the misinformation of the media. You know, we're a part of it now.
That Todd Zalecki, he's a real bastard.
Evil Todd
Zalecki. Love Todd. So Bryce Harper had a bunt single tonight, which was awesome, by the way, because it moved the runner over. And let's face it, right now, he's scuffling anything to get on base, but his batting average is .230, waiting for him to heat up. Schwarber had a bomb last night as well. So all in all, listen, we'll take the win. They got to win these series against the inferior teams. That's what they have to do. And listen, if they beat the teams they should beat, and when you have a payroll as high as the Phillies payroll has and good players and the rotation they do, they're going to be good. However, in saying that, from the beginning of the season till now, right? Like there were a lot of Phillies fans that were coming in and this season, and they weren't all that juiced up necessarily about the team. And you had a lot of finger wagging, bro. You had a lot of people saying like, oh, we just won the Super Bowl. Eagles won the Super Bowl. Why can't you be happy? Why can't you be excited for the Phillies? And there were a lot of Phillies fans that were saying, hey, I am excited for the start of baseball. I do think the Phillies are going to be a playoff team, but it's the same team that's coming back. And sorry, I don't feel great about this team this year. They didn't change anything, at least in the lineup. So from that standpoint, and I defended those people because it's okay to not be totally juiced if they didn't do it. I like the way the season ended last year, the way the season ended before. So with saying all of that, where I am right now after nearly 30 games, as I am to the start of the season, I'd say it's a little bit thumbs down, right? Like the offense isn't good at all. The offense has not been good. Starting pitching's been great. I thought the starting pitching was going to be great. Bullpen sucks. So if your bullpen sucks and your offense is disappointing, I don't know how. I mean, yeah, it's going to get hot. It'll be hitting season and all that jazz or whatever. But the offense, this team just doesn't look good enough. The offense looks stale and the offense doesn't look good enough. So Pat Egan, how do you feel about this team after we're done near 30 games here?
This is probably what I expected. The rotation's been better than I thought, and a big part of that is Taijuan Walker. I expected Aaron Nola to suck, and to his credit, he was really good last outing, but for the most part, this season's been bad for him. So I kind of expected 2 of your 5 starters should be bad, and Walker's been pretty good. I didn't expect the bullpen to be this bad. I expected one of those guys to be able to, get 3 outs. But as for the offense, this is kind of what I expect, because I feel like this happens every single April in CBP. There'll be a game where they'll bust out and they'll get 10 runs, and then they'll follow it up with 2 clunkers. And as you said, hitting season's not here, the warm weather and whatnot. But it's about what I expected. Unfortunately, what you talked about at the beginning with running it back, when you lose to a team in the playoffs and that team goes out and they get Juan Soto, it's tough to be amped. And when you end up losing games in April that you go, yeah, we shouldn't be losing. And then you face that team in the Mets and you don't play well. It's tough to sit there and go yeah, I'm buying in and I'm ready to run at the football, because you're just expecting Lucy to pull it away. And I think that's where a lot of Phillies fans are right now, is even if they go out there and they have an amazing May and they have an amazing June, and it's okay, but prove it in October. Because all we've seen you do in October is losing the World Series, followed up with losing in the NLCS, followed up with losing in the NLDS. you know, like this payroll, it's way too high to not have deep runs in October.
Yeah. No, man, the Diamondbacks NLCS loss will be like it gets worse with age, man.
Yeah, it does.
It just does. Like Houston, all right, they made the World Series, they lost. Houston was Houston was the better team, but not even to get back to the World Series, needing one win in the last 2 games at home and losing that series. And that was the beginning of, wow, the league made an adjustment to the Phillies offense, and they really haven't been the same since. I mean, they get hot, they're streaky, and you saw it tonight. How did they score their runs before their last innings? Home runs.
Yeah.
Schwarber, home run, live and die with the long ball in October when it gets colder and you're facing better pitchers. It's hard to win games and it's hard to score runs like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth to that, some not. Like, you know, I would argue with former coworkers about this. Like with the Diamondback series, I feel like that's baseball. Like they ran into a bad 3-game stretch, and you're going to have that. Unfortunately, they were on the bad end of it. I do think that this team can score small ball. You know, they have speed on the base pass. They have a complete team. Like when you actually look at their roster, it should be doing, you know, probably better offensively. But you know, when you look at just the history of how it's gone lately, it hasn't been good. And they've pressed, it seems like. You know, they get into these situations, they get down in October, and then it's like, you know, they're really, really pressing, and they're relying on some of these big bats. And then all of a sudden you got Marsh coming up, and you're like, well, that's an easy out. Stott last year didn't look good, but Stott looks good this year. Like if Johan Rojas, for all of his faults last night on the field, if Johan Rojas can continue to hit the way he's hitting, and they actually have a bat at the bottom of the lineup with speed, I think that's going to go a long way. A long way to making this team like more of a complete team.
He's look
because
good.
Like last year in the playoffs, like it was like they would get 7, 8, 9 hole, and you're like out immediately. And this year I don't really feel that. Not yet, at least.
All right, there he is, Pat Egan. We'll be back. We're running late here, so let's get right to it. BetParx Parlay of the day coming up. We have some other things to wrap up. Don't go anywhere. Philly with John Marks. All right, let's talk about it. Speaking of the BetParx Parlay of the day, how about BetParx? Live bet on Philadelphia baseball, golf. How about the Pro Hoops playoffs that's going on? Hockey playoffs going on right now. And after last night's thriller, how about second game of a series against Washington? Christopher Sanchez pitching tonight. Live betting is better on the BetParx app. You can bet individual player performances in baseball, like player hits, home runs, RBI, strikeouts, and much more. And the BetParx online sportsbook and online casino app has you covered. So if it's Philadelphia baseball or your favorite baseball team, all right, well, like who cares? It doesn't have to be your favorite baseball team. It's just something that you like to do, right? The only app I would ever recommend to bet on sports and to play all my favorite casino games right in the palm of my hands. Live dealer, blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, and hot online slots as well. New users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. So go to betparx.com, download the app right now, enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParx. You love to play. You play to win. You bet BetParx. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hoo-ah. All right, this is a welcoming Golden Nugget to Philly with John Marks. First time we're talking about him. For the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location in the heart of Philadelphia. Customers from all over Pennsylvania, New Jersey, even Baltimore and New York City have come to Golden Nugget Jewelers to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. Their staff, highly trained and dedicated to provide a personalized shopping experience. And it's talking about a great selection. Engagement rings, wedding bands, high-end watches, fashion jewelry, sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more. And you receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. Golden Nugget Jeweler has been a family-owned and operated business since 1987, right there on Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjewelry.com to learn more today. Shout out to Golden Nugget. 8th and Chestnut. I used to work literally, I worked at the corner of 8th and Chestnut, above a business, and then we moved down the street to 7th and Chestnut. So I used to be, there was a little diner that was on Jewelers Row that I used to eat breakfast at a lot. So I used to see Golden Nugget quite a bit over the years. All right. Well, listen, we're licking our wounds a little bit. We got to get off the schneid, and we're going to try to do that in our BetParx Parlay of the day. Well, Tyler, you had some concoction mixed up last night. I didn't even understand it when you were saying it. So I just said, yeah, sounds good. It didn't win. And I had the Knicks money line last night, so I lost as well. Black Gritty had the Phillies money line. That ended up winning. But we went 1 for 3 last night in our picks.
Yeah, wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. So I took Pascal Siakam 30+ points, rebounds, and assists. And John, he had 4 at halftime. I think he ended up with 15 or 16, but it wasn't even remotely close. It was weird, too, because the Pacers had like 9 points with a minute and some change left to play in the first quarter. They played horribly in the first quarter. They were down 30-13, ended up coming back, forcing overtime and winning the game and winning the series. Tyrese Halliburton was awesome. I know there was the whole situation with his dad and Giannis. But yeah, Pascal Siakam didn't do nearly enough.
All right. Well, so listen, let's do it. Let's try to get off the schneid here as I pull up the BetParx app. What was your selection for the day?
Yeah, there is a doubleheader being played today in baseball. The makeup from rain out last night. The Cardinals and Reds will play in Cincinnati at 12:40, and then they'll play again tonight at 6:40. I'm going to go to the first game. Brady Singer gets the ball for the Reds. Miles Michaelis has posted a near 6 ERA this year. He only has 13 strikeouts in 4 starts. He's not been very good. I'm not going to go too crazy in this one. I'm just going to take the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. They've won 5 consecutive games. The Cardinals are 3-8 in their last 11. So I'm going to take the Reds at -152 on the money line and hope that they can continue their 5-game winning streak.
All right, I've been pretty good in the NBA, and as much as I wanted to bet the Phillies tonight because I love Chris Sanchez, I'm going to go with the Lakers money line. So you had the Reds money line. I'm going to go with the Lakers money line. I mean, they just ran out of gas. JJ Redick played the entire starting 5, the entire second half.
Yeah,
and they were gassed. And Minnesota came back. I just can't see the Lakers being eliminated. So I'm going to take the Lakers on the money line, which is, come on now. The Lakers money line is 225. Not great odds, but still, if they lose, I'll be happy. And if they win, I'll be happy because we get our parlay of the day. So 50 will pay us $71. 50 pays us 71. We are only a +33 on the season.
Yeah, we need a win.
50 for 70. Need a win. I like it. I like our picks. We got this one. All right, that's our BetParx parlay of the day. Couple notes on the you mentioned that the Bucks and the Pacers series. The Pacers win 4-1. But the Bucks were cooked. Damian Lillard tore his Achilles, so he obviously wasn't playing. But now he's in jeopardy for maybe a lot of next year as well. But Doc Rivers, he didn't get swept, so that's a moral victory for Doc. But I don't know if you saw I thought I had it here, but they were up 8 points with 40 seconds to go or something like that. They were up 20 points in the first half. The Bucks were. So They were up 20. They were up 8 with 40 seconds to go, and Doc found a way. Because that right there, players play the game, but blowing a lead like that and in situational basketball with that much time left, man, do you know how much it hurts if you lose, especially in a deciding game where you lose the series? Indiana gets to overtime, and then they win in overtime. The Bucks were up big in overtime as well. So, I mean, what a disaster. But Doc Rivers loses another one. They paid him a lot of money when they hired him to go up there. When they fired who was their coach they fired that actually had a winning record? And they whacked, and they brought in Doc, and then it hasn't been great since then. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was Yeah.
Yeah, who cares?
I'll find
who
it.
cares? Yeah, who cares? We don't need to know. All right, do you have the video of what happened after the game with
Yes.
So there was also some type of a fight between Giannis and Tyrese Haliburton after the game, I think, where they were pushing and shoving. I don't know if this is what caused it. So the Pacers win, and like Giannis is standing out on the court, kind of being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we lost." Tyrese Halliburton's dad comes out on the court. Here's how it looked. This isn't one of the more ridiculous things you'll ever see. I mean, geez. Standing in front of him, holding up the banner, and he has to have like somebody come in. I think TJ McConnell actually had to run over and get between him before Giannis probably flattened him. And he apologized after the game, which of course he has to do. Man, don't put your son in that situation. You can't run on the court like that. You got to be kidding me. Everybody, I mean, it's the most obvious thing to say in the world. Like, I've never seen anything like that. A parent running on the court and holding up a banner of his son.
Yeah, that had like AAU written all over it. Like,
oh my God,
something you do at like your kid's game. You know, you see the video go viral on Twitter where it's like, oh, parent gets on the floor at a 12-year-old travel basketball game. And I'm like, this is the NBA. How did he even get on the floor?
He ran right on. He's got courtside seats. By the way, if you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com because we're officially in overtime. Some interesting NBA series. I've actually enjoyed it. I hate to admit it, but like watching that Pistons team outside of Tobias Harris that I can't stand. He played 43 minutes last night.
Yeah.
Harris. He's the veteran presence with a really young team. And man, they just outplay you. They're tough. And here's another observation from all the series I've noticed. They're letting them play. The refs aren't calling anything. This is these are physical throwback playoffs where they weren't calling anything last night in the Knicks and the Pistons game. And I've enjoyed it. I have. Knicks are a good team, man. The Knicks have a really good starting five. The Pistons are a good, young, aggressive. We don't give a bleep. We're going to the Garden. You need a game to finish us off. We're going back to Detroit. That was a great win last night for Detroit. Really, really was.
Yeah, it's they've basically used seven. They've basically used seven guys in the postseason. You know, Paul Reed's gotten a sprinkle of minutes. Isaiah Stewart's gotten a sprinkle of minutes. But it's been mostly their seven guys that you've seen. Like, obviously, Cade Cunningham has been they're doing everything guy. He's their best player, but he's been playing almost 41 minutes a night. And then Tobias is averaging almost 39. Dennis Schroeder is averaging 27. Tim Hardaway 31. Malik Beasley 29. Asor Thompson is at about 22, and then Jalen Duren is at 33. Like, they're just running. They're out there. They're playing. They're starting five, and they're two bench guys, and they're just out there running. And they are pacing you, and they're outpacing the Knicks at times. And it's a young core who is willing to get after you. You know, and then you've got a couple of the veterans sprinkled in, like you said. Tobias Harris is kind of the grizzled vet, but Dennis Schroeder and Tim Hardaway, obviously, add a little bit of veteran presence. It's a team that just has kind of gotten after you. They've done it all year pretty much. Yeah, they have. They've been good. The Nuggets and the Clippers, which was the sexy pick, was for the Clippers to win the series. Remember, I was showering James Harden, being like with affection. So like James Harden wasn't a Philadelphia type player, but if you look at what he did in that series against the Celtics as a 76er, he scored 40 points in 2 games, but I couldn't wait to get him out of town. So last night, Denver goes up 3-2, 131-115. They go back to LA for game 6. James Harden, 3 of 9 for 11 points and a -16. So that's the James Harden game that you're talking about right there. Oh, so breaking news here. Yes. Yeah, just a couple seconds ago from Jordan Schultz. Yeah, Eagles picked up Jordan Davis's 5th-year option. So it's 12.9 for the 2026 season.
And it's not, by the way, I don't believe it's guaranteed at this point. It's only guaranteed against injury. Deadline, is it? I think they can still pull it back. It's the deadline exercised early May. Once exercised, the 5th-year option guarantees the player for their salary, and any previous unguaranteed portion also becomes fully guaranteed. Okay. I thought there was once the option's exercised, it becomes fully guaranteed. All right. So not surprising. I would have been shocked if they didn't pick it up. Has he lived up to has he lived up to it? Has he lived up to his draft pick? No, he hasn't. And what's particularly troubling with Jordan Davis is I always see this tagged on to, well, Jordan Davis 5th-year option or Jordan Davis. It's his shape. It's that like he's got to be in better shape. And the Eagles perhaps were waiting. I've seen this written a couple of times. The Eagles are perhaps waiting to see what type of shape he was in before they exercised the 5th-year option. They wanted to see what he looked like after the draft. Wasn't that a bleeping problem? I know he's a big guy naturally, but if he's not in playing shape and his endurance is hurting him during games, he's not able to play as much, that's a problem. I don't need guys on my team that aren't taking their craft seriously enough. So I would still have exercised the 5th-year option. I would have been shocked if they didn't. There's still potential there that needs to be met, but it hasn't been great so far, Tyler. It just hasn't. So I hope that he's able to get it together here.
You brought up numbers on Milton Williams earlier in the show, right? And underwhelming numbers primarily because of being a defensive tackle. And I think defensive tackles tend to have underwhelming tackle numbers or whatever. TFLs are important with D tackles and things like that. Obviously, he's an excellent run stuffing defensive tackle. It's about, can he be a 3-down D tackle? More than what they've had him be so far. I thought he was really, really good in the postseason. I think underwhelming is a fair word to use at times. I think there has been questions about his playing weight and whatnot. But I think that the reason that they're exercising this 12 right now is because A, it gives them another year. It gives him another year to have him grow and mature. And B, I think if they didn't, his next contract, whether it be an extension with the Eagles or elsewhere, would probably surpass the $13 million a season. I think he's going to get some big time money just because there's still going to be a team, no matter if it's the Eagles or another team, that looks at him and goes, former 1st-round pick, productivity has been there in spurts. Excellent runs, stuffer, and then the size is undeniable. So, the number that he's going to get after 2026 is going to be more than the 12.9 that he gets in 2026.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how many less snaps he took last year because he only had 1 sack the entire season. He had 18 less tackles than he did in 2023. He played all 17 games. So I know that because essentially Milton Williams and him played the same amount of snaps. It was Jalen Carter playing every down and then a rotation to Jordan Davis and Milton Williams. And Milton Williams clearly was the better player. So, but when you trade up to take a player 13th and he's 380 and he chases guys down from behind, he can go he can go from his spot on the defensive line and chase a guy down on the sideline. It's there. And you're hoping to unlock that potential. And he hasn't met it yet. Will he ever get it? I don't know. But I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer that they pick it up and they guarantee it in there. And if it doesn't work out, he's probably going after that 5th-year option and whatever. But so Jordan Davis will be back.
For you, John, 519 snaps defensively in 2023, 388 in 2024. So he played about 45% of the team's defensive snaps 2 years ago. He was down to 37% last year.
Like 150 less snaps.
Yeah, it's a sizable number.
Well, that'll make your productivity go down a little bit, I would say.
And I mean, he went from 45 tackles in 23 to 27 in 24. As you said, 1 sack last year, 2.5 the year prior, 5 quarterback hits in 2023, 1 in 2024. His TFLs actually went up. He had 2 in 23, he had 3 in 24, in 130 less snaps. But yeah, I mean, the snap numbers were definitely down from 2023.
All right. Shout out to everybody out there that is watching live on YouTube. You can always watch us. Does not matter. You can watch us whenever, but we're live every morning from 8 to 9 a.m. right here on YouTube, PHLY. Also on TV. So if you're watching on the fast channels, Xfinity, Roku, Samsung Plus, You can watch us live at 8 or watch PHLY, all of our programming. Just check us out on Xfinity. Just talk into your remote and say PHLY. Bam! It'll pop back up. Audio podcast also available just wherever you find your podcast. Search Philly with John Marks, and you can listen to the audio-only version. Rate and review. Nice 5-star review would be greatly appreciated. We're back tomorrow morning live in studio. Tomorrow we play the Philly feud. Tyler Zulli, the defending champion, takes off Rich Hoffman. That's tomorrow. Ant's live right now. Go check him out. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning live at 8 o'clock. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.